And welcome back to this edition of Central Valley Business. I'm your host, Lauren Baker, and we are back with Brad Huff, who's here to tell us about the Student Nest Nesting Success Company. So welcome, Brad.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here.
We're happy to have you. Tell us all about it.
Well, this is Central Valley Business.
Yes, it is.
And StudentNest.com is a business. It was founded about 12 years ago. And about 11 years ago, I met the owner of the business. And when I was not enthusiastic about tutoring, because the company provides tutoring for people from kindergarten. We even had some pre-K students who needed help with English language arts and so on. We were able to help them all the way through graduate school. We've had teachers who couldn't pass the statistics part of their master's program. That seems to be a stumbling block for some teachers. And so we worked with them to help them get through the course that they needed to pass to get their teaching credential and their master's degree. Anyway, and so I met the owner of the company, and prior to that, I think I have probably donated in the neighborhood of maybe 10, 15,000 hours of tutoring. But when you're the teacher, because I taught at Edison High School here in Fresno for 15 years, and then I was the founding principal of University High School, and working with students and so on. But when you're a teacher, you don't charge the students. It's called extra help. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing, right? If you have a student who doesn't understand something, then you sit down with him or her and work with them, to help them understand. So extra help is tutoring that's free. And so anyway, but my situation had been that as principal of University High School, I had some parents there who had hired tutors for their children. And so the tutors basically did the homework for the kids, and so the kids didn't understand what they were doing, and so there was this kind of conflict, if you will. And other parents would buy, you can go online, you can buy these like CDs and one thing and another, to help your kids, math in particular. And the problem with that is it's this drill and kill kind of thing. And a student really needs to be motivated in order to, to plow through that and so on, because it's not really very exciting. And so when a friend of mine said, here's this man who has founded this company, and the main idea behind the company was to provide online tutoring in initially mathematics. And out of respect for my friend, I met the founder of the company. His name was Chandra Joshi. He and his wife, Monica Joshi, his wife is now the president and CEO of the company.
How cool.
And Chandra is now vice president. But in any event, the bottom line was that I met him, and I thought it would be maybe a 2 or 3 minute interview, and I would say goodbye and good luck. But when he showed me the technology, first of all, it uses voice over internet protocols. So you put on a headset with a microphone, and no matter where the person is in the world, if that person has internet access, I can talk to that person. And then he asked me to sit at his desk, and he disappeared. And he said, do you see the cursor on the screen? Well, I did. And he said, left click the mouse and drag the mouse. Oh my goodness, I was writing on the screen electronically. And this was before touch screens and so on were very popular. And so I thought, wow, this is amazing. So if you needed help with math, and you called me up and you said, can you help me? I don't understand how to solve 2 equations and 2 unknowns or something like that. You don't have to come to my house, okay? I can create a session and send you the link, and then, you log in and I log in, and you could be in France on your, Paris vacation or something like that, or Hawaii or wherever you like to go. And as long as you have access to a computer and the internet, I can be sitting in my home in Fresno, and I can work with you for 30 minutes or an hour or, whatever it takes for me to, help you understand the concept that you need to know. So when I saw the power of this technology, it hooked me right away. And I was retired when I met him. Well, I wasn't. I was going through retirement when I met him. And next thing I know, I just want to be a part of this. And so then he said, now, how much would I need to become an employee? And I had promised my wife when I retired that I would have time for her, and we would be able to do some of the things that we had wanted to do, but couldn't when I was a full-time employee. And so I said, Chandra, I will work for you under one condition. He said, what's that? I said, I work as a volunteer. And he said, but this is a for-profit company. You don't get any, extra bonus points in heaven for volunteering for a for-profit company. I said, I don't care. So I want to help this company be successful, and I'll do whatever it takes as long as I'm a volunteer and you don't call me up and say, I need you to be here and here and here, and because I'm an employee. So he took a step back, and he didn't know whether I was serious or not. And I said, absolutely, I'm serious. And then after about a year, we needed somebody to handle the scheduling. Now, my wife has a brain like a Excel spreadsheet. She's one of these super organized people. She worked as an accountant for a number of years and so on. And so the people doing the scheduling were not as detail-oriented as we needed to have. And so I asked my wife, I said, would you be interested in helping us out? So when she saw what was needed, and when she saw the possibility of helping a lot of kids who were struggling primarily with mathematics at that point, she came on board as well as a volunteer. So, and now, it is seasonal in that, it was seasonal in that we started getting students in the late fall after Thanksgiving, basically when the first report cards came out and the parents saw that their children were not doing well. And then it increased more and more and more, and we kind of hit the peak February, March, April, so on, where we had hundreds of students who were being tutored every day. And then as the school year was reaching its end, and the mandated No Child Left Behind testing, which is now gone, thank goodness.
Well, I know.
when that disappeared, then it tapered off. And so basically our summers were rather quiet. Although the company has had contracts with the Los Angeles County Office of Education to provide help in subjects for the people in their group homes and so on, and halfway houses and that kind of thing there. And that's been incredibly successful because it's one-on-one. And if you think, a student who's not doing well, and many of the students we've helped are kids whose lives are, I say that they're chaos, because mom and dad might not have two parents in the family, and so then they can't make the rent, and so they get evicted, and they live in the car for a couple of weeks or something like that. The kid doesn't know, okay, they find a new apartment in another part of the city, so the kid they have to enroll in a different school and that kind of thing. It's not the kid's fault. Okay, if parents make poor decisions, the kids suffer. And so we have a lot of kids, there's nothing wrong with their brains, okay, absolutely nothing wrong with their brains, but they've missed out on a lot of school. So if they were missing when something important was taught, and then they show up after that and everybody else kind of understands what they're doing, they're definitely at a disadvantage. And so what we would do, we never do kids' homework, okay, that's one of the policies. I said, if a kid needs to have homework done for tomorrow, then maybe at the end of the session, if the kid works really hard on where we know he has deficiencies, then we can set aside maybe 10 or 15 minutes, to help. But the example I like to use, the problem where it says a train leaves Chicago going 45 miles an hour, another train leaves St. Louis going so many miles an hour, and the distance between the two, where do the trains meet? Well, hopefully they don't meet. Hopefully they're on different tracks. But an old joke is, where do they bury the survivors? Right? If you're a survivor, you don't need to be buried. Anyway, and so consequently, so if that's the problem, then because my main goal has been recruiting, screening, training, and then monitoring our tutors. And we have amazing tutors. These are people, some of them retired teachers, some of them people who were driven out of the classroom by the restrictions of No Child Left Behind and one thing or another. And these are people who have said, thank goodness for StudentNest.com, because I can still teach, but I'm not facing the stress of being in a classroom where my skills and expertise and experience are not appreciated. So, and this one woman, she said, my husband and I, we wanted to start a family, but I love teaching so much that I said, let's put it off a year, put it off a year, put it off a year, and finally we just realized that, if we keep putting it off, the clock is ticking, right?
Yes.
And so she said, I got pregnant, but she said, I found StudentNest.com, or you found me, and she said, my hair's a mess, I'm in a house coat, I just finished nursing my daughter, but I just spent an hour helping the student and so on. So she said, it's the best of both worlds. I can be a stay-at-home mom, and at the same time, I can continue teaching and helping students. So anyway, so I'm really excited about StudentNest.com. The offices are at 2121 Merced Street right in downtown Fresno. And we work with students in Fresno Unified, and in the Central Valley, but also nationwide. Is if the map is up right, so you can see from the map.
How cool!
How cool! And we've been when No Child Left Behind was big. By then we had to go through this detailed process to be approved in these different states. Now that SES is gone, Supplementary Educational Services, now that's disappeared. Now we're working with individual school districts, and so we're working with districts in Texas and many in California and various other states. This summer, for example, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the district in Milwaukee wanted to find somebody to work with second and third graders in their school district. So we have, I think, like 400 second and third graders that we've been helping with English language arts and with math. And at home, I'm my wife's instant substitute. I don't work with and another big point is when here's a student, my wife then will say, okay, here's the perfect tutor to work with that student. And so she pairs them up, and then the same person tutors that kid for 15 or 20 hours, whatever it is. The students in Milwaukee, it was 40 hours of tutoring. So one-on-one, the tutor develops a personal relationship with the student. And if it's working well, and that's in my training of the tutors, I try to make sure that they understand you need to develop rapport with these students and so on, because if the student doesn't show up, we don't get paid. so there's an incentive to do that. But most of our tutors, they would make this personal connection with the students anyway, because that's the kind of people whom they are. Anyway, and so consequently, our results have just been spectacular. If you think most students, if they're way behind and so on, when they come in and walk into class, they put their head down, they sit in the back of the room, and they just want to survive another 40 minutes or whatever without having their lack of knowledge be revealed and be embarrassed and so on. But one-on-one, there's no place to hide. And some of these, we've worked with some really tough students for LA County Office of Education. These are gang members and one thing and another. But the thing is, they put on the headset and so on, so they don't have to maintain their macho image and so on. And so, I mean, they can be honest with the tutor. And we've had, there's this one tutor, she used to be a manager of a business with like 500 employees and so on. And she's a no-nonsense lady. And she can talk to these gangbangers and one thing and another, and just straighten them out and one thing and another. So I'm just so pleased with the fact that many of our tutors have been with us almost from the beginning, because we try to treat them well. And my wife's job is to try to make sure that there aren't any mistakes. And when you're working with some of these younger children, we have a system whereby we call the homes, talk to the parents and so on, to remind them, like the day before, because we don't tutor the kids every day. Research and education indicates that when you have a tutoring session one-on-one, that you need some think time and so on. So we recommend 2 times a week, typically a weeknight, and then during the school year, a weeknight and then a weekend day. And 2 hours a week seems to be optimal. So if a district is interested, or if a parent is interested in providing, say, 20 hours of tutoring for a student, then that's going to take like 10 weeks at the pace that we recommend. Now, some parents, they like over this 4th of July weekend, okay, the kids are home, and the parents say, well, my son or daughter is home, so let's load them up. We don't recommend it, but what the parent wants is what we kind of say, well, you want 8 hours of tutoring, Saturday and 8 hours, we can provide that, but we just don't think that that's a really great idea. I mean, in that your son or daughter, they're not going to benefit from it, because it's just like trying to drink at a waterfall, right? or a fire hydrant, just too much. Our tutors will do it, and so on, and they try to pace it so that with some of the really young kids, they'll work for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, play a little tic-tac-toe with them and one thing or another, because they just need a break. They just can't, it's not like a business meeting, right, where it's an hour and a half.
I think everybody needs a little break, though, in between. It's not just kids, it's all of us. We'll go crazy.
Right, exactly. So, we've just been, incredibly successful in helping these students. And now, as I say, we're moving out of the No Child Left Behind and SES mode into marketing to individual school districts. Yeah, if you can, okay, there you see the pyramid. Yeah, we've been working with San Diego Unified. San Diego Unified has one of the strictest systems for evaluating outside contractors that come in and provide services for the district. And so for the last several years, the pyramid, there's like, in 3 parts and so on. And so to get 10 out of 10, which is perfect, is really tough. And StudentNest.com, because of they talk to the parents, and the student satisfaction, parent satisfaction, of course, then the district indicates how easy we were to work with, and that kind of thing. Now, the thing is, if a parent or grandparent is listening to this program, we are able to provide tutoring on a private basis, and a lot of people don't believe me when I tell people this, but it's $25 an hour, which is quite a bit cheaper than other tutoring companies and so on. Guaranteeing success is something that you can't guarantee that you're going to be successful. But here's the deal. Parents, we ask them, and it's $25 an hour for 8 hours. That's $200. And so what we say is, you pay us $200, and that buys you 8 hours of tutoring. If you want more, then we can extend beyond that. If at any point during those 8 hours you're dissatisfied, your son or your daughter, your grandson or daughter is not happy with how things are going, we'll refund the entire $200. And people say, well, wait, that's crazy. So in the 8th hour, somebody calls up and says, I want my $200 back. Do you know how many times that's happened? 0.
That's awesome.
That's 0. So anyway, the phone number, if it's not up on the screen at the moment, it will be up on the screen. And people can call the number and just simply say, I'm a parent, a grandparent, a godparent, or somebody who is concerned about a child. And during the summertime is a very good time, and the kids are out of school. And so to set up this kind of thing, and the children may not be really enthusiastic to start, but once they start interacting with our tutors and so on, our tutors are very adept at finding out what the student is interested in. And so we don't spend a lot of time socializing. That's not the point. But just try to find out what are some hot buttons, what are some issues that the student cares about,
yes.
and then you can and sometimes it's just difficult to get the students to start talking because okay, I'm going to be tutored in math. Well, what do I do when I hear the word math? I put my head down and just try not to be noticed. But when you have the headset on and the person is talking with you, I've been in a situation where there was this one student who didn't want to talk with me. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to start counting, and you when you've heard me count long enough, then you say something. And I think I got to maybe, I don't know, I was in the 30s or 40s, and he said, okay. So, and I just thought that up off the top of my head. Because I would, say to the student, hi, my name is, Brad Huff, and I'm, here to help you learn some math. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier that the thing is, we have over 1,000 lessons in math. We have 1,000 lessons now in English language arts and so on. So the people who want to tutor for us, okay, lesson planning is virtually, I wouldn't say it's nothing. They have to learn what the library of lessons is and so on, so they know how to find the lesson that they want to use. But it's not something where you have to plan, sit down and plan out the whole lesson, minute by minute. And so consequently, the tutors have access to this, and when the student logs on and so on, they can pull up these ready-made lessons. The lessons are excellent, and they are aligned with the California content standards, the math standards, the English language arts standards, and so on. That's another thing I had a role in, which was taking a look at what are the new California standards and the Common Core, and then to take a look and see what were the lessons that we had before. And if there were gaps, then we created new lessons. And if there were old lessons that really didn't fit them anymore, then we just kind of took them out of the library. So we're not using stuff that's outmoded. Okay, so we're up with the current thing. And the NGSS, the New Generation Science Standards that are coming online and so on, we've been developing lessons for students who need help in science as well. So that's kind of what the bread and potatoes has been for StudentNest.com, since its inception. But this last year, okay, there's something new. And this last year, for about the same time that I got involved with StudentNest.com, I was approached by Dr. Carol Fry-Bolin at Fresno State. She put together this thing called the Math Science Teacher Initiative. She got funding from the Chancellor's Office of the CSU system to provide workshops for teachers. Predominantly, it was like elementary, middle school teachers who might want to teach high school, because she knew there was going to be a huge shortage of math and science teachers. And so she asked me to coordinate this. We've been friends for a long time. So we did this, and for the first 9 years of the program, teachers had to come to Fresno State. This was face-to-face workshops that we did at Fresno State. We had people come from the Bay Area, from north of Sacramento, down from Los Angeles and so on, who would come because they were free. Okay? And if any teachers are listening to this, and if you need to pass the CSET examination in science or now mathematics, you can do so. But what's even better, it's now gone statewide, because we're using the Student Nest platform called the Virtual Classroom. And so for the last, I think, about 6 months or so, we've gone online. And so the presenters, I'm not the only science presenter. There's Dr. Stefan Delcroix at Fresno State, who's doing these math workshops. And so now we've reached out to teachers throughout the whole state of California. And so we're now online. And so my role in this is to set up, to create the sessions. And then I email the links out to all the teachers who have signed up for these sessions and so on, and then they log on and the presenter logs on, and so there they are. Dr. Delcroix he's at I think a classroom that he uses at Fresno State, and you say, is there a camera? No. Well, I mean, we do have a video capability, but video takes up a lot of bandwidth and one thing or another. And if you think about it, when you were, say, taking a college course in something or other, how much time did you spend looking at the teacher's face? You were looking at the board, writing your notes, and so your attention was not on the face of the people who was presenting it. If you're in love with them, I suppose.
That happens.
It happens. Mm-hmm. But so we don't use the video. But Dr. Delcroix, again, just like we do, he prepares these lessons, and then we can upload PowerPoints, we can upload Word documents and PDFs and so on, and then you can write on them. So then he can draw using, we have a whiteboard technology and so on. So forgot to mention, all of the sessions are recorded.
Oh.
So consequently, and I don't know how many, hundreds of terabytes of storage that we have in a server farm someplace that we own, and or we rent, lease, whatever. But the owner of students.com. And partly it was because some parents are very anxious. Okay, they've heard about, on the internet, predators and one thing or another. And so we record every session. And so if there's ever a question about the behavior of a tutor or the behavior of a student, and we've had quite a few situations where students have used gutter language with the tutors and one thing or another, and they didn't want to be there, they wanted to be out playing with their friends or something like that. And so they were really rude. To the tutors. And so we can play that back to the parents, and the parents, oh my gosh, my little darling did that, and so on. And we have had no instances where, but I mean, if a tutor were to behave in some, inappropriate way, I mean, it's not, well, being principal of a school, when there's a conflict, so if a student comes in or a parent comes in and says, this happened and one thing or another, well, there's always two sides to the story, right? There's the student or the parent version, and then there's usually the teacher version. And as a principal, the question is, who do you believe? The truth typically lies someplace in the middle. And so as a result, here, if it's all recorded, everything that was written on the screen, everything that was said is right there. So, it's very crystal clear as to who did what, who said what, and that kind of thing. So it's there to protect the students, it's there to protect the families, it's there to protect the tutor in case because occasionally the family will call up and say, your tutor was, doing something inappropriate and so on, because the kid, didn't want to do it. So he said, the tutor is being mean or nasty or, using bad language. So we can play it back, listen to it, so on, play it back to the parents and so on. They say, oh my gosh, the kid was not truthful in that situation. But to me, the biggest asset is that when I'm working with tutors, the tutors can replay the sessions. And so if you tutor for us, okay, you finish a session, then you can replay it. And so many of these people who've been teaching for a long time, they say, I've never heard myself teach before. And so it's tremendous professional development. So, after the session is over, they just click on this thing and there it is, and they can listen to the whole thing. Some tutors say, I didn't realize I keep saying you know, or you like, or like, I guess is that, or Oz. I mean, various things that slip into our language that we're not aware of because we just use them. Typically, you say that when you're trying to think of what to say next, and you don't want silence, so you throw in something that is what they call a verbal tick. And so anyway, so we have that. And many of our tutors have said, this was absolutely wonderful. This is the best professional development I ever had because I can listen to myself. And then, best of all, there was this one tutor who contacted me who said, the student asked a question, but I didn't understand the question. And so I just went ahead and then in replaying it, I realized I didn't understand what question the student had asked. And he didn't have the courage to ask it again. So he just, okay, fine. So the next session, when I came on with him, I said, last session you asked me, and I'd written it out. I stated the question verbatim, what he asked me, and then I answered his question. Well, did that buy me credibility with that student? It was, because, and I didn't tell the student, I listened to the recording. As far as the student knew, I just, my memory was such that and I cared enough about the student to restate the question the student asked and then to answer what it was that the student had asked. So there are just so many aspects of StudentNest.com that I find exciting, and as I say, the company has done very well. It's centered here in Fresno, California. We have a branch office now in the Los Angeles area.
Oh, nice.
And then, when we were working in Texas, when there's a need to open branch offices because of student demand and so on, well, then we have been able to open branch offices in various places. So the whole goal of StudentNest.com is to meet the needs of basically anybody who needs academic help in grades kindergarten through college, as I said, graduate school, and then also now to work with these teachers who want to pass this CSET examination. And I don't have an exact count, but I think it's something between 400 and 500 teachers that we've helped over the years. And our results, after they take the test and they pass the test, they say, thank you very much. This was really, really helpful. So, obviously, it's nice to work for a company that, is doing good things for people, helping students be successful.
Yeah, sounds like it. Now, we're almost out of time, but before we go, can you tell us how people can contact you or this company?
Yes, the information is there on the screen behind us. The principals of the company are there, and then the phone numbers are kind of small, but the phone numbers are there. As I said, the address of the company is 2121 Merced Street in downtown Fresno. It's very close to Van Ness and Fresno Street in the heart of downtown Fresno. The phone numbers are there. There's a toll-free number that people can use, and then my personal cell phone number is there. And if occasionally I get people who get my cell phone number and they call me up and they say, I saw you on Central Valley Business, and I need information. I have. More often than not, it's a grandson or granddaughter, who's struggling, and the parents don't know what to do. And so, it's only $200. I'll be happy to spend that if you can help my grandchild.
Absolutely. That's an amazing thing that you're doing, and it's great to hear that not only benefits the students, but the teachers that want to participate in it as well. Everybody gets better. Everybody has room to improve.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Brad.
You're most welcome.
It was a pleasure talking with you. What a wonderful service you're helping
I did
provide.
most of the talking.
Hey, I don't mind it. Stay right here on Central Valley Business. We'll be right back after these messages.